We never did get this drop and decorate container up to the top of our property, but these tulips are gorgeous. I expected them to be red because the other two containers were red, but these are like a salmon. Absolutely gorgeous. Can't wait to get these into the landscape. So let's start out front. A lot has changed since the last time I showed anything. The PJMs, for the most part, are done blooming, except for this one. This one is always a little bit farther behind because it doesn't get as much sun. It's a little bit overshadowed by these other two, but you can see the flowers are done. They're starting to put on some new leaf growth now. The Midnight Sunlight Gila have come a long way. I don't think they'll turn their gorgeous coppery burgundy color until after they flower, maybe. They're all quite green right now. So just planted these. These are new on the market, so I'm not sure what their early color is opposed to their later color. So we'll just keep an eye on those. But they're fully leafed out, which is beautiful. I think they'll probably bloom in May. We did get one tulip to bloom up here. The other ones, I believe, they got eaten. Took the cloches off, but I don't believe we'll see blooms from them. We did get our one Alexander the Great Brunnera planted. I did show that in a video. It's still blooming. Beautiful little forget-me-not type flowers. The daffodils are done. Firelight tidbits are finally starting to leaf out. Much slower than other hydrangeas, but these are just planted to last late summer, I guess, maybe mid to late summer, maybe even early fall. So they survived the winter. The Jacob's Ladder are blooming. Look how beautiful. And they're so vigorous. This one is just huge. This is the Heaven Scent by Proven Winners. We have 3 of them here. That's the biggest. This is the second biggest. Remember I said in the previous video all those little purple dark tips were buds forming. Some of them obviously have flushed out. This has always been the smallest one. So hopefully over the course of the next couple of seasons this will become just as vigorous as these. I had originally wanted to move them. But I don't know. They're so pretty. I just wanted something in their place that was going to go all season long. And this honestly is where I was going to put some of those flowers that I had bought, the annuals from Black Creek Nursery. But we'll see. These are just looking really pretty. They just don't bloom for long. They're a spring bloomer. While I was at work the other day, my husband cut back the Japanese maple quite a bit, which is good because we probably should have started size controlling it a long time ago, but he did cut back some. I feel like it needs to be cut back a little bit more. You can see our wild hyacinths are starting to come up. These are Camassia quamash. They are a native wood hyacinth, native to the Pacific Northwest. It's very difficult to find the Camassia that are native to the East Coast. Although the nursery that I worked at last year does have some. But these are just fine. They're beautiful, little delicate, a little bit more delicate than the non-native hyacinths that we all love at this time of the year. Those are the Tough Stuff Aha hydrangeas. Those have leafed out nicely. Let's take a look. The Blue Moon Phlox has some more flowers on it. Such a pretty, delicate, spring blooming perennial. I just love that. The ones at the top of the property are blooming as well. Hellebores are still looking really pretty. You can get around here. You can see the little faces. All the hostas are starting to push. Even ones I couldn't find last time I was out here, which really was not that long ago. But with all of the recent warmth, the ones that I couldn't find over on this side of the path are coming up. That one and that one. You can see the lady's mantle is really, really starting to fill in now. Water droplets look like diamonds on Lady's mantle. Look at that hosta. The bluebells are in bloom. Look at that pansy. I know I'm all over the place. I'm trying to do this before I go to work. Everything is just looking so beautiful. Oh my gosh, look at the carex. Bull's golden flowers. But look at the bluebells. So pretty. You've got a couple of muscari blooming. Lots and lots of lily of the valley. They, since we had such a wet year already, those have really started to spread. But they're starting to come down here. So we had planted, there were 10, and clearly they have spread, which is great. I know they can be quite invasive, but this side of the bed, I feel like it's a real challenging area over here because of the Norway maple. And you can see the runoff just at the edge of this bed. Means not much will grow. So to be quite honest with you, if these grow out into the dirt here, I don't mind. Although they will probably get mowed at some point. Some of them even have little, you can see the flowers. See that little, almost looks like a grape, a bunch of grapes. Those are all little flowers forming. These are the pink lily of the valley. And I see something has been digging a hole in our heuchera. All kinds of dirt over here. I'll tell you what, I am not one to put down critter control. I don't want to poison things, but they can do real damage in the garden. Still be looking great. We have a tulip over here blooming. Pretty red with gold ruffles. I don't know if any of the hyacinths bloomed over here, to be quite honest with you. They're like a magenta, and I honestly don't remember seeing any of that over here, but you can see another tulip and a better look at the beautiful lavender flowers of the blue moon phlox. Really a bright spot at this time of the year. Our bottle rocket ligularia is coming back nicely, which I'm glad to see because we planted 2 of these, I think, 2022, and in 2023 only one of them came back, so we replaced it. Now they're both coming back. Let's just take a shot from just outside the arbor. Roses have been planted. When I was at work the other day, my husband did get the geum out of here. Ended up there was, I guess, one plant had split, and it was, so now we have 2, which is good. Everything's just looking really green. I don't know if you can tell, but the azaleas over there are all budded up and pretty pink. I don't know if you can see beyond the fireplace there, the white, that is a crabapple blooming up in the woods. Really excited about that. The firelight tidbit on the garage side of the house are leafing out as well, and I'm really excited to see new growth on the 3 Castle Keep hollies we planted here last year. You can see all those pretty light green tips. That's all new growth, so that's exciting. Catmint have really put on some growth since I was out here last time. Those are cat's pajamas. Let's take a look at the transplants that we put in here just a couple of weeks ago. I think they're all doing really well. This is the purple emperor sedum, which since we transplanted them here have doubled in size, which is nice because we have again gotten a lot of rain, and you know, sedums like it dry, and right now our yard is very wet, but they seem to be handling it quite nicely. Excited to see them grow here. The yarrow's coming on nicely. That's just a yellow. I think it's Coronation Gold. Despite the fact that something dug a hole in the middle of that too. It's doing nicely. Caradonna salvias that we transplanted over here are also doing well. They've also probably doubled in height since we transplanted them. And I'm thinking that we're probably going to have to replace the steeper grass. I don't know if any of you watched any of my previous videos where I'd mentioned that this really is considered an annual, but sometimes it does come back. Now there is a lot of green in there, but there's also a lot of brown. So maybe when they come back, you know, if we don't have an extremely harsh winter, they just don't green up as much, because I do feel like they're just not as green as they should be. So I might have to get a couple of more to get the look I'm going for over here. And just be prepared. I already was. That was going to have to be a replacement every year. Here are the other two Caradonna salvias. These don't get as much sun, so they're not putting on growth as quickly, but they're surviving. And I do think we lost 2 alliums. There should be 2 more back there. Alliums are a tough plant to lose, so I'm not sure why they didn't come back this year. Our little hedge of Fothergill are looking really pretty here, putting on flowers. Little bottle brush type flowers. We have 3 of them here. The stackies that we transplanted are all doing well. Even the one that we took out of an extremely wet location, which was that one. It looks fantastic. The Munchkin hydrangea that we replaced last year is doing really, really well here. The daffodils behind are done, as are the hyacinths. We do have more wild Camassia up there. I'll show you those in a sec. These are, oops, excuse my shadow, Autumn Joyceum, doing really, really well. I forgot we had 3 of them here. I thought there was only 2, but back there are 3 echinaceas coming up. The Itea are starting to leaf out as well. That's what these shrubs are here. And back in there, those clumps, that's more wild hyacinth. And in amongst some more Itea. This is a Ruby Spice Summer Sweet. Really pretty pink flowers that's starting to leaf out as well. And you can see some of the creeping phlox is starting to bloom. We have Shasta daisies putting on growth. Actually, these were pretty much evergreen. Not this big, but there was always clumps of leaves down here. And a daylily right in the middle. We might want to remove that. The creeping phlox over here is really, really fully flushed out now. I always think January, February, March, they look horrible, and I'm going to lose them. And then they never cease to amaze when they look like this in the spring. So shrub-like, and they really do spill over these rocks gorgeously. We do have a Jacob's ladder in there. You can see that. That's just the straight species. That's not any kind of nativar. And I think there's another small one growing out of these rocks. Yep. Right there. And then we have some creeping jenny coming out of the rocks. The creeping jenny is highly invasive, and it had started to spill over the stones down here in our French drain, and I didn't like that. It looked really messy. My husband did come back and cut them, but you can see creeping jennies all through here. I even think, I'm not sure if that's a fern. It looks like a fern. At first I thought it was a Jacob's ladder that had seeded itself there, but to me it actually looks like a fern. I guess we'll wait and see what that is. With these phlox over here, they don't get as much sun, but they're still covered in buds. And of course the lime rookie hydrangeas are all leafing out. This one's a little bit smaller because this was a newer addition. It's going to create a really nice hedge here once they all grow in. Lemon squeeze pennisetum is all starting to leaf out. And it's pretty chartreuse. Creeping veronica. These will have gorgeous little blue flowers on them. Closer to probably May, June. And again, while I was at work the other day, my husband got the rest of the liriope out. The invasive type of liriope was the final piece that was just here in front of this rock. And now that this bed is open, he also got the salvia out. We had like one poor little Maynite salvia that was stuck in here. He actually got 3 out of it, which is good because it's never good to have one plant. So now that I know we have 3 salvias and 2 geums, maybe we can create a little perennial planting somewhere with them. But the rest of these leaves that you see here are echinacea. They need to get moved. But now that that liriope is gone and I can see this bed a little bit more clearly, I'm excited that we actually will be able to fit 3 Miss Molly butterfly bushes in here. And I actually think we can use 1 more lemon squeeze pennisetum. So we have 4, and I think we can put another one right up here, just above and slightly to the right of this other creeping Veronica, and then 3 Miss Molly butterfly bushes in there. Will complete the transformation of this retaining wall bed. I think this was, I don't know what part of my 2024 garden plans that was, but at least this side will be done. That side over there is still a work in progress. We've kept it covered with the plastic because we keep getting rain and we don't want all that mud to run. But I do have those 2 pinky pollen ring hydrangeas in there. 4 in there. I think we'll only really be able to fit 2. I'm not sure. I was thinking maybe I should order another one. They're a 4 to 5 foot wide with time. So probably about as big as that golden barberry. So I really feel like we can only fit 2 in there. And there's some creeping thyme in there. I think there is a creeping phlox, and I thought maybe we'll get another creeping phlox. Then that side will be complete, but we do need to get some soil and build that up. Those sticks you see there are perfect storm hibiscus. They will not be up for a while. It's supposed to get cold again, so they will probably continue to lay dormant in there until we have consistently warm weather. You can get a closer look at that crab apple. I would love to extend the video tour to up there, but I tried yesterday and it is incredibly wet up there still, almost bog conditions. My husband and I had to go up there yesterday and rescue some shrubs. Unfortunately, I could tell they were dying because they were starting to yellow and weep. So one of our prog viburnums, pulled it out of the ground. It was actually growing in a puddle. We had to cut it back severely, transplanted it over on this side where it's a little bit drier, and then the butterfly bush we had growing up in our seeding area up there, just to the right of that little copper garden art piece, that was dying as well. I could tell. We took that out and it was also growing in a puddle. So we transplanted that down to the driveway bed, and it seems to be doing okay down there now. We put the calacanthus up in its place, which can take a little bit of moisture, although to call that moisture up there is an understatement. So cross your fingers that all 3 of those plants survive. Herb garden needs a bit of a transformation as well, but everything looks like it's leafing up nicely. The germander hedge needs another trim. The drops of Jupiter oregano is the chartreuse plant that you see in there. There's 4 of them. They can be, in my experience, a little bit of a thug in the garden. Well, most oregano can be. So I think what we're going to do is take all of the other herbs out of here. Mostly it's oregano and some thyme, and we do have a rosemary. We're just going to put in each quadrant of this herb garden 1 of the drops of Jupiter oregano in each, just for a little bit more of a formal look. So everything's finally starting to green up. I'm trying not to focus on the negative, like how wet it is up top. I think some of our plans for up there they're going to have to be abandoned, which is unfortunate because we just can't work up there. If we have another year like this, it's just going to be another plant killer of a year. So I think we're just going to focus more of our efforts down here. Maybe just put more river birches and red twig dogwoods up top and then just be done with it. We'll take care of the area that we already have mulched in front of our fallen tree up there, because there are lots of plants up there. The heucherella, the tiarella, the hostas, they're all coming back, the Haas halo hydrangeas. But behind there, we had hoped to create a little bit of a buffer with the Prague viburnums, because those are evergreen. There's a couple of blue shadow fothergillas up there. That's where the Durvella were going to be moved, the Kodiak Fresh, which will probably still move up there. We just have to be cognizant of the fact that we're going to have to plant them really, really high. And then, you know, there's a lot of other stuff I wanted to plant back there. But if it's going to be wet like this and really wet years and we can't get up there for months at a time, then we're just going to not focus on that. We're going to, like I said, plant some river birches, more river birches, plants that can handle the wet locations up there, and then just focus more down here. This is the pumpkin spice succarella that I showed a few weeks back that had been eaten. I covered it with a cloche, and you can see how nicely it's come back. That's why I bought the third one at Black Creek Nursery, because we also have another one over here that looks really pretty too. And I think I don't want to leave these in the pot all season. I think we're actually going to transplant them over here to underneath this ilex. This is a Berry Poppins. I think they'll look pretty here. Some of the phlox has started to bloom. You can see, I think this is probably one of the most vigorous creeping phlox. This is an emerald blue. I have tried to plant so many different varieties of creeping phlox here, like the really pretty pink and white striped ones. So many different varieties, just never did well. This emerald blue, planted late last year, it's already tripled in size. Stick with emerald blue, so much more vigorous. I don't exactly know which one this one is. Might be North Hills, but this one has done a little bit better too. But it's taken a really long time to get there. You can see we still have some spring bulbs, pretty hyacinths back there. We actually have these tulips here. Honestly, don't remember these blooming last year. I don't even remember planting them, to be quite honest with you. I'm guessing they came in one of those drop and decorate planters, because this color combination really is not something I would have bought on its own. I tend to be more of the pinks and purples and apricot for tulips. I mean, it's pretty, don't get me wrong, and it really stands out. I can see it from the house. But I really don't remember planting that. Another hyacinth. Probably that one on its way out. Chokeberries are full of buds, and they have really pretty much fully leafed out. This is the Lowscape Hedger by Proven Winners. The tiny Tough Stuff hydrangeas are fully leafed out, and I do see tiny little buds in there forming. So we are definitely going to have flowers on our Tough Stuff, our tiny Tough Stuffs. These haven't even been in the ground for a year, so that's exciting. I want to plant some alyssum, I think, in front of them, some white alyssum. Once we get rid of the weeds, don't pay attention to that. I think that'll look pretty, and since it's a little shady there, alyssum like shades, a little moist there. They also like moisture. And our limelight, no. Quickfire hydrangea standards are starting to bud out. I was kind of worried for a while after we cut them back hard, because even the Pinky Winkies we cut back hard have not really started to do much of anything yet. But I have to remind myself, panicle hydrangeas are a little bit later to leaf out than others. So, starting to leaf out. Coreopsis, definitely coming up. I think I even see some Heliopsis, yep. I don't see the Vervain doing anything, but the Heliopsis, blocking you with my shadow. There are, I think there's 2 or 3 left in here. We moved some of them up to the rain garden berm. So I see one there. There's another one here. Shadow in the way again. Maybe that's it. Maybe we moved 3 and left 2. I'm still holding out hope that maybe this Copper King hibiscus will come back. No idea why we lost this last year. Just never came back. It could have been because we had really bad drought in April. Well, late April, May, and June last year. And maybe I should have come up here and watered it, but didn't. So it never leafed out last year. I'm guessing that means it's dead, which I'm kind of sad about. But you can see the bug banes. This is black negligee. Doing really well. These are the plants that my husband got out of around the roses. So we have 2 jams here. Coreopsis, this was a darling clementine. We had 3 over on the garage side. 2 of them petered out. We moved the 3rd one over into our fence bed garden over there, and it just did not do well. My experience with a lot of Coreopsis cultivars is that they just don't do as well as the straight species. So hopefully that one survives. It is a beautiful orange. And then we got 3 salvias. Hopefully you can see through. I don't want to walk up on the deck. My boots are very muddy, but we have 3 May night salvias in there. And let's see if I can get a better picture. Of the laced up elderberry. My husband was able to get that out of the bed up there. That's another bed that's going through a bit of a transformation. So that was up there in the corner. That too is growing in a puddle. So hopefully it recovers a little bit in the pot and we can figure out a spot to put that. But it's going to look pretty with the pink flowers of the elderberry underplanted with the purple of the May night salvia. And of course my first summer annual container, looking really pretty there. So I hope you enjoyed this tour of things starting to wake up in the garden. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.